We're on an airplane from Mexico City to Caracas. And Prabhupada started taking his puffed rice and peanuts. He ate for about 10 minutes or so, and then he just looked and said, okay. So I moved the puffed rice over, and I gave half to Paramahamsa. The other half I had in front of me. And after a few minutes, there was this stewardess. She's walking down the aisle, and she stops right in front of us, and she reached over, put her hand in my plate, and grabbed a handful of puffed rice, and threw it in her mouth. And she says, oh, this is wonderful. What is it? And I said, oh, puffed rice. And she says, why are you eating this? And I said, well, we have our own diet, and we're vegetarian. And she said, oh, is there anything else I can get you? And I looked at Prabhupada, and he just looked at me, said, hot milk. And she said, fine. So after about 10 minutes, she comes back with 3 plates. And she left, and I turned to Prabhupada. I said, Prabhupada, that's amazing, isn't it? And Prabhupada just said, no. He said, women, they have natural propensity to serve. And of course, I was thinking it was amazing that she took Prabhupada's maha-prasadam right off of my plate. Somehow or other, she got what all of us were just mad after, was Prabhupada's remnants. So when I travel, it's always one of my favorite stories. So one day I was giving class, and I told the story, and after class, a devotee boy came up to me, and he said, that's an amazing story. Can I tell you Sankirtan's story? And I said, yes. He said, we would go out to the villages far from all the cities in Brazil and different places. You have to go by 4-wheel drive. And one day, we were in the rainforest, really far away from everywhere, and we found this village, and we did our Harinam. And then he said we began going door to door to distribute books. And I went to this one house, and I knocked on the door, and a woman answered and tried to distribute books. And as soon as she saw me, he said I was in Dodi and Kurta, and she invited me in. I went in, and I started seeing there were pictures of Krishna on the wall, and she had an altar, she had deities, and he was so surprised. And then he said, you're a devotee? And she said, yes, yes. So wonderful to see a devotee, she said, here. And he said, well, how did you become a devotee? And she said, well, the first time I met devotees was I met Prabhupada on an aeroplane. I was a stewardess. So this was the woman. It was 10 years later. From that time, after she took the maha-prasadam, then she met devotees again and got a book, and that was it. That was the beginning of her spiritual life. Just seeing what Prabhupada has done, it's mind-boggling to understand how Prabhupada has made devotees. And it just goes on and on.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.